The story of the Tower of Babel is a psychological allegory. Parts of the design of the Tower card illustrates this allegory. The verses about the story of the Tower of Babel begin with the statement that all the people in the whole world spoke the same language. It stands to reason that this was never the case. Instead, this allegorizes common sense, people's agreement on the meaning of words. We discussed common sense in the previous video about the tower. Common sense is a collaborative effort. People agree on what words mean and what is true and what not. Accordingly, the Tower of Babel was built by an entire nation. Mind that common sense can be utter nonsense. For example, it used to be common sense that the earth is flat. It's still common sense that heaven is in the sky, which is obviously nonsense too. Mind that it's dark and murky in the picture. Common sense produces a dark and confined state of mind that is, once in a while, interrupted by a lightning of truth. Common sense maintains culture through education. Allow me to quote Carlos Castaneda. What stopped inside you yesterday was what people have been telling you the world is like. You see, people tell us from the time we are born that the world is such and such and so and so. And naturally, we have no choice but to see the world the way people have been telling us it is. Journey to Ixtlan, page 254. P, the letter associated with this tarot card, means the mouth as an organ of speech. We build our worldview with our use of language. Common sense use of language is the mortar that keeps the bricks of common sense together. Mind that writers, in particular poets, use language in uncommon ways to express situations and feelings we have no words for. In this respect, the tower signifies our inner dialogue, with which we maintain our own common sense. I quote Carlos Castaneda again. The internal dialogue is what grounds people in the daily world. The world is such and such, or so and so, only because we talk to ourselves about its being such and such, or so and so. The passageway into the world of the shamans opens up after the warrior has learned to shut off his internal dialogue. Carlos Castaneda, The Wheel of Time, page 117. The inner dialogue is a chatter of rationalizations, excuses, and vindications. The inner dialogue blocks the communication with the higher self, which is symbolized by the sun at the right upper corner. The people built the Tower of Babel for two reasons. The first was fame. The second was the fear to be scattered all over the face of the earth. That's the fear that arises out of the sense of separation. The people's approach to overcoming the sense of separation was doomed to fail. The people attempted it through community, that's common sense, instead of achieving unity with the higher self. The materials with which they built the tower allegorizes that error. Since ancient times, the stone is a symbol of the unity between souls and the higher self. In Hebrew, stone is spelled ABN, which can be extrapolated to AB, Ab, and BN, Ben, Son, which means father and son. The people should have built the tower with stone, but instead they used bricks. The brick is a symbol for the common sense meaning of words. Stones are symbols for the deeper, wise meaning of words. Take the word disappointment as an example. According to common sense, disappointments are bad. But wise people love disappointments, since disappointments end illusions. Mind that the bricks are grey. Gray is the color of wisdom. Common sense appears to be wise, but it's not. Wisdom is the opposite of common sense. Common sense is the enemy of wisdom. There are two types of knowledge: intellectual knowledge and gnosis. We arrive at intellectual knowledge through differentiation. We differentiate between things and get to know them this way. Then we take our knowledge and build a worldview. That is the Tower of Babel built from bricks, intellectual knowledge. We acquire gnosis through conscious union, which is a different way of knowing. We achieve gnosis when we become one with the object of contemplation. The stone, ABN, signifies gnosis. According to the legend, a worldview built on common sense is destined to collapse. But a worldview based on gnosis will stand the test of time. Carl Jung discovered that the collective unconscious maintains common sense. Common sense ideas are collective ideas. These collective ideas have real power, and if we tune into them, they can take over our minds. Because of this power of collective ideas, some people still hold onto common sense that has been debunked a long time ago. Because collective ideas have real power, they can be abused. Popularism abuses common sense. If we want to know the reality behind the appearances of this world, we need to leave common sense behind and seek wisdom. Best if we seek ageless wisdom. Tarot and the Tree of Life convey ageless wisdom. Building a tower to reach heaven signifies the desire to understand reality and the causes behind existence. We can't understand the hidden causes of existence through experiences. For instance, someone needs to initiate us into the truth about the self. Love and happiness are invisible, and we can find love and happiness only within. Reading the Bible with common sense may lead to the notion that God created planet Earth in 7 days. It may also lead to the notion that God compares to a male Homo sapiens, because God's pronoun is he. But God cannot be common sense male, because he doesn't have any sexual organs. God can only be male on a spiritual level. Unfortunately, we don't have a word for spiritual maleness. If it comes to God's gender, common sense fails us. Of course, common sense is not all bad. Without agreeing on the meaning of words, we can't communicate. But when we want to communicate with the higher self, we need to leave common sense behind. The current transgender debate stirs up common sense. Don't misunderstand me. I have nothing against the transgender movement. They shall do their transgender thing and find happiness. The problem is that they want to redefine the common sense use of pronouns to aid their self-identification. To do this properly, they should come up with new words for their genders. Man and woman are already taken. An interesting little detail are the 3 windows in the picture of the tarot card. The number 3 belongs to the Empress, which stands for creative imagination. Her letter Daleth means door. Creative imagination is the door that leads us out of common sense. In Hebrew, window means he, which is the letter associated with the Emperor. The Emperor stands for reason, insight and foresight, which allows us to look beyond the walls of common sense too. The 3 windows symbolize the use of imagination and insight that gives us new vistas on reality and how things truly are. The dualism assigned to the Tower card is grace and sin, which is an unusual pairing. The dualism should be grace and disgrace, or sin and righteousness, shouldn't it? The common sense religious definition of grace is a seemingly undeserved divine favor. The idea behind that is that we are hopeless sinners, but that God saves us although we don't deserve it. As long as we ask for forgiveness, of course. If we remove undeserved, we get to the spiritual meaning of grace. The higher self loves all human souls unconditionally and bestows his grace on everybody at all times, peacefully or through lightning. But people still can make themselves unavailable to the grace of the higher self by building a tower of common sense. This unavailability is the sin. According to religious belief, if we make ourselves unavailable for grace until we die, we go to hell. But according to spiritual belief, the higher self will force its grace upon us. That's the lightning in the picture. Nobody will be left behind. Everybody will be saved, whether she wants it or not. So if the higher self's unconditional love, guidance and protection is grace, what is sin? Sin is trust in common sense instead of trust in the higher self and its wisdom. According to all enlightenment traditions, we can evolve our consciousness and build a tower that can reach heaven. That's enlightenment. But we can't build it with common sense. We can only build it with ageless wisdom. And we need to step aside and let the higher self do the work. The higher self is the architect and builder. We are just witnesses. I stand not aloof, unmoved, watching my handiwork, as a potter watches the clay upon his wheel. Nay, not so. For I am the clay and the wheel and the potter too. I am the work and the worker and the means of working. Book of Tokens, meditation on Chet. Thank you for watching this episode of Between the Pillars. Please help to spread the light with a like and a share. And don't forget to subscribe. Love and light.